control system which can be in order to know the action, that is in order to know the post action control and also the steering control. So post action control here means what are the things has been done, so how to rectify through corrective action. So that can be completely done through the steering control, so we can make some corrections in order to do it. So while doing itself, if we have rectified, then it is easy to accomplish the goal. And as far as MIS is concerned, it is like a network. So every function in the organization, they have to take some important decision. So the quality of decision is, as I told you, is linked with the nature and quality of information provided. How this information is provided? It is provided through MIS. It is called as Management Information System. It is a network which has been established within the organization, and they are providing managers. As I told you, they are providing the information. So here information can be provided anytime, but the need is when they provide timely information. So that is very, very important in case of MIS. Then regarding the evaluation technique, we have this program evaluation technique, or you call it as a PERT technique. So what is this PERT technique? It is like it is much involved mostly in case of a specific industry like construction. So they can easily go for knowing how much manpower is essential to complete the particular task. So they can completely work out the labor cost or inventory. All this is much important for a specific industry like construction or industry. This is like a planning, monitoring and controlling the project, and it is much helpful in order to go for management, that is project management, to know about the problems, as I told you, which is likely arising in case of construction, or when you're going to promote a new product or new launch or even installation. So what happens is here we are trying to identify the component activities. So based on the component activity, we decide the sequence of the activity, which activity is to be done first and which activity is to be done second. So we decide the sequence of the activity, and as I told you, it is also much important to know the time, that is the time period necessary in order to finish this task or activity. Sometimes even they want to go for modification, so they can even go for modification and control the. As I told you, this PERT and CPM is a evaluation technique, and CPM is used in USA in the late 50s, and with any program they use, they have this both the activities, and the importance is to identify the critical activities. So by controlling the time of the critical activities, you can control the total time and the cost which are minimized. Now we will see this network planning technique. So we will see the difference between PERT and CPM. So as I told you, PERT is a program evaluation and review technique, and what happens is here project management techniques, it is trying to show us the time. What is the time period which has been taken? So what happens is it is like a visual network which is more appropriate in order to manage some complex projects. So what they do is first they try to break down the project. So this project is broken down into clearly identifiable activities. So they have many activities. So when the main activity is there, they go for dividing that activity into many sub-components. So each component will be a project, and the total time liquid is calculated. So here we are trying to break down the project into events and activities, and based on that we try to have a sequence. So we try to bring out a sequence, that is a chain of activity, and we try to bring out the relationship and the duration, what is necessary to accomplish the particular work. So what happens is, as I told you, we are trying to identify some activities. Then if we identifying activity, what we do is we try to construct a network. So a diagram is there where we have a sequence of activities with a start and end point. Then what we do is we try to prepare 3-time estimates for the project. Namely, we have the optimism time, pessimistic time. So optimism is the shorter duration, pessimistic is with respect to longer time, and normal time is likely time. So we try to determine this, and we determine the critical path. So how it is what is, we find out the possible shortest time in which this activity can be completed. Same way what we do is we find out the time in which the activity is normally expected to be completed. That is when there is normal contingency, this is the time, most likely time. Then pessimistic time is that is the main time, that is in case we have some longer duration, that is some problem or difficulty, then what could be the highest time taken. So we try to calculate the time, that is total time estimate. So we try to find out the shorter duration, longer duration and the normal duration, then based on which we calculate the average time. This is how we go for PERT technique. Regarding the critical path method, this is like we go for, this is applicable to both the small and big projects also. So here what we do is we do step-by-step project management technique for process planning, and what we do is we try to define the critical and non-critical tasks. So what are the critical tasks we categorize, and we categorize a non-critical task. So with the goal, that is we want to have some time frame and we want to prevent the excess time. So it is mostly suitable for very numerous activity, even it is very easy for complex problems also. So what is done is here is, it is a technique where we are using planning and controlling in order to have some logical sequence. So as I told you, it is a step-by-step project management where we have a sequential of activity and we find out the operation. So this technique, what happens is they are breaking the projects down into various activities, and after that they determine the time. What is the time period or the time required for each activity. So what we do is first we have to specify. We have to specify activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, like that we have to clearly specify the activity. Then we have to arrange in the logical order. So which will be the first activity and which will be the second activity. Then we have a diagram like arrow diagram which will be reflecting the sequence relationship, and we try to develop that. Then we take the time. So project A, this is the time. Project B time. Like that we mark activity with the time and arrow, and we find out the estimate yearly or even late or start and finishing time. Then we totally calculate the time. Then we have to mark the critical path on the diagram. Then we have to estimate the project completion. So here what is nothing done is, when an activity is to be called as critical is when there is no loss of time in starting and determining its finish task, then we call it as activity. And if there is any change like delay or advancement without affecting the completion date of the entire project, then we call it as non-critical activity. So this is how they have brought the PERT and CPM. So this is a network planning technique. Now we will talk about the different auditing systems. So first one is internal auditor system, which we have already seen in the traditional method. This is the auditing system with respect to management audit. So why do we use management audit? As we know, management audit is done with in order to have an aid. It is giving us an aid. So through this audit system, we try to know how the particular performance is being done in the organization. So this is how we prepare the management audit, and it is to know about the financial position. That is important, to know the financial position of the company, and we also know about the overall organization structure, how this executive appraisal is being done, and how the board is functioning, and what all the services which are being provided to the stakeholders regarding the physical policy of the particular company, how the sales is there, or what about the research and development. All these are being identified through this management audit. So it is like identifying key areas. So what are the key areas where there can be improvement? So we have to find out the key areas, and we have to suggest some measures how to improve this. We have to assess the risk. So as I told you, we are going for research, and we are going for the like if we are talking about the appraisal and the soundness of earning. So we try to assess the risk, economy, efficiency and quality. In case of any new technology, we think about the evaluating a new technology, whether we can adopt the technology. Is that possible? What is the cost involved? What is the time period involved? How much is the cost and what are the benefit we are going for? So we have to go for a cost benefit analysis. Sometimes there is any illegal activity, then we have to find out those activities also. So it is very easy to find out such activity through the management audit, and we have to reinforce and strengthen the internal control. So in order to have a better management, we have to give a broader role, that is to internal audit, and also talk about the risk management that is involved in the internal auditing. This is how the management audit is being done. So we have to appoint a proper personnel who will be conducting this management audit, and they will be doing that in a proper planned and manner. That is why we call it as a planning and execution. They will be drafting a management audit program, and they go for a training this program. So they have to talk about the time concern, and we have to think about how frequency this management audit has to be carried out, and we get the report with the solution in case of any issue. So the other name for management audit is a technical audit, efficiency audit, or organizational audit, or operational audit. So as I told you, we have different name for that. The role what they do is just they examine the management operations, supervise the activities of their clients, and go for dynamism and think about the flexibility of any changing environment and try to grasp the opportunity if it is. So this is the picture for this MIS which I have already seen. So as we know, MIS is a planned system of collecting, storing and disseminating data in the form of information which is needed to carry out the functions of management. So please note that management information system is totally different and management audit is different. So we will see the role of MIS. So in the beginning slide we have seen what is MIS. Now we will see how this MIS is helpful and is just called as a controlling technique. It is trying to ensure that there is an appropriate data. So when you try to collect the data, when it becomes appropriate data, we call it as an information source. So the source where from you are getting the data, that should be a valid source, and we should be able to process and pass it to the destination. So if there is a need for sharing of information, so this is done by MIS. We try to collect the data, retrieve the data, then we have to store the data. So this is collection of data, storing of data, and retrieval of data is the role of MIS. And it also satisfies the query system, analysis system, and modeling system. And it helps in strategic planning. We know the three tactical levels of planning in MIS. So we have the strategic planning, management control, operational control, and transactional processing. So we have to have MIS at all the three levels of management, that is top level, bottom level, and middle level. So based on the need, we call it as a strategic planning, operational control, and transaction process. This is how management MIS, that is management information system, is working as a control. Now this is the objective of MIS. As I told you, we try to capture the data, then we process the data, we store the information, retrieve the information. If not needed, then we go for dissemination of the information. So this is MIS, and MIS, how it is aiding control system. So we know this information, what we get is being information and communication. This information has to be monitored, it controls the activity, it is assessing the risk factor and control the environment. So how this information has been done is, as we know, in every level, that is the three levels of management, we have to set up the standards and find out the actual performance, compare the result. If there is any deviation, find out the reason for deviation and take the corrective action. So this is why we use MIS. It is also using interactive control. This interactive control is how it is done is directly through the employees, and this system, information system, is playing a significant role where they are communicating all these details with their employees. So next one is, as I told you, this is a Gantt chart. So this is a simple technique where we are having different tasks, and there is a horizontal bar chart with date on each task in a project. So when this task will be done. So this is the utility. Why do we go for Gantt chart system? So the benefit of is, we try to schedule the activity. As I told you, we have the date wise thing. Based on that, we can decide about the date when this task will be done. It is like giving us some performance. So based on this Gantt chart, we can know when our performance will be done and what are the different stages and the time schedule for each stages. So it is allowing to focus on efforts and reacting quickly to some situation which is nearly unexpected. Then it is also trying to communicate how the process is going on, if there is any issue, what is the issue is about, and also talking about how to determine resources, what is essential. So these are Gantt charts. Next one is ROI, that is return on investment. So this is also sometimes called as a traditional method or a modern method. That's why we have that in both the videos. So return on investment is calculated by net income by cost of investment. So return on investment is a measure, it is a benefit which an investor will receive in relation to the investment cost. So if you are investing today, you want to know what will be your return. So when you will get back the return, that is after 3 years you want to know the return, after 5 years you want to return, then you can easily go for the return. Then this is ROI, as I know, we have to find out why we are using it. So this is the rate of revenues which we are likely to receive. So they have taken a dollar investment in an item or quickly. Here we can even take our Indian rupee and know how this item will be quickly have the revenue. So if you talk about the marketing sense, return of investment is how much, for example, a company is investing in advertisement marketing campaign. They want to know what are the techniques and whether this advertisement and marketing is having some amount of attitudinal change in generating income for the business. So they have to know the performance. What they do is they measure the performance using some of the techniques like risk counter cash flow method or payback method, and we have different methods. So we have to compare efficiency of different investments. So if I invest in A, that is investment in project A, what will be the return? Project B, what will be the return? So we go for comparison and we have to know the benefit, that is return on investment, and we have to take an investment that is dividing the total cost I have done in the investment. So the return on investment, so total cost by return on investment, we can get the percentage. So this is return on investment is nothing but it is giving us a profits, which are the measures of overall efficiency of a business to the capital employed. So in order to know the business efficiency, we have to know about the shareholders funds. So for that, what we have to take is net profit we will be taking and the total investment what we have paid, that by divided by total investment into 100. So we will get it in a percentage. This can be compared over a period of time as well as with other similar concerns also. So this comparison will be telling us what is the situation, the present performance. When you can go for comparison for 2020 to 21, or you can go for comparison with 19 to 20. So it is very easy to go for comparison. Even we can go for comparison with other consoles also. So this is like to know the level of achievement and we go for comparison. That is we use it. So this is a basic measurement in order to gain the investment, and based on this we have the formula. As I told you, there are a lot of formulas. So first one is ROI, and we have the net income on the investment by cost of investment. Then we have investment by investment base, and we have revenue minus cost of goods sold. So this is how we go to calculate the return on investment. So this is a very simple method, and it is very easy to evaluate the different projects investments available. We can even go for calculating and comparing with previous periods. As I told you, it is a system where we go for monitoring the investment. That is why we call it as a control technique. The benefit of what we derive out of it is going for a measure which is going to go about the competition in the market. We can know about the competition market. As I told you, it is very simple, but still it is effective, and the calculations are very simple based on the financial ratios. The limitation is the time factor. Because we don't take the time factor completely, it is ignored. That is a main drawback. And we use different methods for different return on investment calculation. That is confusing, causing confusing in the minds of the people. So this is the last technique, which is called a just in time. So just in time, it is an inventory management system which was used in Japan, which was mainly focusing on material management, or you call it as investment management or logistics management. We use it in different process, but here we are focusing on inventory management and about labor management. So we are going to know without investing how to store it. So the advantages of it is we are using a Kanban system. So what is done is we are trying to determine the accurate demand, what are the maximum coordination which is done between departments. So we use Kanban system, as I told you. It is reducing the cost on storing raw material, and the investment is very less in raw material. It is also speeding up the manufacturing process and know about the material, how much material is readily available. It is eliminating the lead time, and also, as I told you, we are not much going for importance on cost on storing raw material. So the duration is that is, it is helping for a shorter production runs, and it is eliminating wastage like time, inventory and transportation. Regarding disadvantages, this is, as I told you, it is purely potential based on the logistics, that is supply chain management. Sometimes even it can distract the supply chain management. But here what happens is, when we don't properly calculate this just in time method, just JIT method, JIT we call it as, we can have some errors like, so we don't have any margin of profit. Sometimes we don't have any unexpected things. So when everything is being planned, suppose we have some unexpected order from the customers, we will not have the raw material, because we are strictly following the reduces cost on stores. Then there is no time for renegotiation with the, that is, we cannot go for renegotiation with the customers. And this is the time regarding which we have already seen, and we have some other technique also, which is also very important, like we have a responsibility accounting, and we have another one called as the sampling technique, which we have already seen. Then quality circle, then we have what is called as benchmarking. This benchmarking is another technique which has been introduced by Mr. Xerox, and this is a continuous process where we try to measure the product what we give or the services, and it is like to know about the toughest competitors, who are the toughest competitors and who are the industry leaders, market leaders. So based on this, what the company does is, they try to honestly analyze its current procedures and what are the areas or avenues which are to be improved. They try to concentrate. So that is called as benchmarking, and this is very important for any company for improvement and development. And we have another technique called the Six Sigma. So this is nothing but it is a statistical measure where we have to prescribe the standard deviations. So from the defect, given form of defect, we decide the or we arrive at the standard deviation. So when we talk about the quantity of sigma, so when we have a higher number of sigmas, then the deviations will be very less. So accordingly, they go for the production process, and it should always be accurate to the point of 99.96. So this is the accuracy, and they create only 3.4 defects per million units. But this is, as we know, it is very impossible to achieve. It is requiring the organization to achieve. So this approach of Six Sigma was introduced in GE, that is General Electric Motors and Motorola. So this is why they have introduced this particular Six Sigma technique. And this is the benefits of this JIT system. So as we know, just in time, it is reducing the inventory time, it is improving the quality, and as I told you, we are going only for little bit of stores, so there is a reduction in space quantity, and the lead time is shorter, production cost is also less, but there is a possibility for increased production, there is a greater flexibility, and there is an increase in utilization of resources. So these are the benefits of JIT, that is just in time system.